name is Nadia Fawcett. I am the chair of the board of directors for the Douglas County Chamber and the vice president of engineering with Greystone Power. And I'd personally like to thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'd like to invite Matt Crow with Central Baptist Church to come forward and lead us in our invocation and our pledge.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can we pray together? Heavenly Father, we just come before you today, and we thank you for the opportunity to gather as leaders in our community. And Father, I just pray for each man and woman in this room, for the organizations that they serve. We pray for Douglas County, and we pray that you'd use the people in this room to serve well as leaders, Lord. And we just pray that each of us would be learning the lesson that we are better leaders when we are servants. And so, God, we just pray right now for our community. We ask for great days ahead in the year ahead, and Lord, just for your richest blessings upon us today. Thank you for the food that we're eating and for those that have prepared it for us. In Jesus' name, amen. You stand with me and join me in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Also, I'd like to invite our presenting sponsor, Heath King from Wellstar, to the stage for remarks. Hey, Heath.
Hey, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Heath King, and I'm the president at Wellstar Douglas Hospital. Hello? Can you hear me now? Hey, good morning and good afternoon. My name is Heath King, and I'm the president at Wellstar Douglas Hospital. It's great to be here today with all of the chamber team members and chamber friends and guests. I know I'm looking forward to hearing Gary speak and Kevin as well. I think one of the topics that they may speak on or address is going to be innovation. And Wellstar Health System is also playing a part in innovation. About 2 years ago, Wellstar Health System created Catalyst, which is a new innovative sector of our business model, which is basically a think tank for how we can prevent disruption with our patients and the workflows that we have in our own healthcare technologies. It's one of the first of its kind within a health system, and so we're very proud of the work that's going on there. As your local healthcare provider, Wellstar Douglas Hospital is dedicated to serving this community, and we're very proud of the work that's going on. With the month of May, we celebrate Healthcare Week. As many of you may have seen on social media, we celebrate Nurses Week as well. In May, there's also a lot of graduations, whether it be high schools, colleges, and so forth. One of the other things that May is Stroke Awareness Month, and so I'd be amiss if I didn't share that with you all and make sure that you know that Douglas Hospital is here along with Wellstar Health System to basically provide all the stroke care that you need. Wellstar Douglas is actually on its journey to become a primary stroke center to add that to our portfolio of services, knowing that you can come right here to Douglas Hospital and get the fastest stroke care possible. So we're very proud to pursue that journey as well and add that to our services there at the hospital. Thank you and enjoy your lunch.
Thank you, Heath. I want to take a moment to recognize some special guests before we get our program started today. If you are a board member of the Chamber, if you could please stand and introduce yourself. All right, Heath, you want to start?
Good morning, Heath King, Wellstar Douglas Hospital.
Paul Zachis, Zachis Team Shortway. Jill Strauss, Water and Sewer Authority.
Alicia Doherty, American Red Cross.
Trevor Quandt, Georgia Power.
All right, thank you. Let's give them a round of applause, please. as well as our diplomats and business outreach team. If you could stand for a round of applause. Thank you for all you do for the Chamber. And if we have any elected officials here, if you could please stand and introduce yourself. All right, no elected officials today. Well, we also want to thank our cornerstone investors, if I can get it right, cornerstone investors. And this is our 2023 list. You may have seen some of their faces on the screen when you came into the event, but I want to make sure that we recognize this group because they are sitting here at the front of the room. They're the Chairman's Club and Visionary Partners. They're the highest investment level of the Chamber. So if you could, please stand and introduce yourself if you're a cornerstone member. All right, thank you so much. So now for our exciting event. Y'all ready to get unplugged? All right, at this time, I'd like to introduce two outstanding individuals for our event today. Please join me in welcoming Kevin Greiner, who is President and CEO of Gas South, and our very own Gary Miller, my leader, President and CEO of Greystone Power. If you please come to the stage. And moderating this afternoon will be our very own CEO of the Chamber, Sarah Ray.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you guys all for joining us today. I'm so excited to have this conversation with two gentlemen who have made leaps and bounds in their industries, but also are two of my very great friends. So to kick this off, we're truly going to get laid back and do this whole Executives Unplugged thing. I'm going to start with a little this or that, if you guys are okay with that.
Okay.
I've pre-screened these questions with your staff, so just know that.
Now, whether we saw them or not, maybe another question, right? Yes.
That scares me.
First one, beach or mountains?
Oh, easy one for me, beach.
Beach.
All right. I wonder if I would put lake in there, if your answer would have been different. Sunrise or sunset?
Well, I'm not such a morning guy, so I would say sunset.
I'm a morning guy, so I would say sunrise.
Kevin sees the sunrise on the other side.
I do.
Dogs or cats?
Oh, that's an easy one. Dogs.
Dogs.
All day long.
Dogs.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, cat lovers.
It's
Sorry.
okay. I have cats, but they aren't my favorites lately. I might be a more dogs person right now. All right. Fuel or hybrid?
What was the first?
What you're driving. Fuel or hybrid? Or what you
Oh, well, I do electric. I'm all electric.
I'm in electric as well.
There you go. All right. So speaking of gas or electric?
Well, it depends on what application. See, I'm very diplomatic, people. No, I love gas for heating, cooking, and drying stuff for sure. But I love electric for driving, air conditioning, running all those appliances at our homes. Both are really important at the end of the day. And I'm sure we'll get into a little bit about that. But, natural gas and electricity are basically what drive our lives, keep us moving. And so I think it's a combination of the two personally. Plus, a lot of that electricity that you get actually comes from natural gas, of course, too.
We were discussing that earlier.
Yeah.
So great.
Electricity, but
You're a little partial.
but you could cook with gas. I do cook with gas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So the semi-torture is over. So why don't we go ahead and start with, again, I know both of you and have for a long time, but if we just want to start by telling everybody a little bit about yourselves, your journey into leadership, how you got into your role, and how that's kind of contributed to your role at your organization. So Kevin, you want to start us off?
Sure. So I got a leadership opportunity way earlier than I deserved. I'm kind of like the accidental CEO. I got the opportunity because I was actually at Southern Company, and I was with a subsidiary that was the original Southern Company Gas, right, Trevor? It's like, there was this business at Southern Company way back when that was just about gas marketing. This was before Southern Company acquired AGL Resources and really got into the gas industry in a big way. And so I was working at Southern for what was then called Southern Company Gas in the gas marketing space, and they decided to sell the business. And so I had the opportunity to, I loved that business, really enjoyed it, and the new owner, Cobb EMC, which is also an electric cooperative, just like Greystone Power, decided to go ahead and purchase the business and asked me, much to my surprise, to be the CEO. And I was woefully unprepared for it, to be perfectly honest. I was just 37 at the time. I hadn't run anything bigger than a marketing department, which was at Southern Company Gas at the time. So stepping up was huge. It was hard. Fortunately, I had people around me who really had a lot more experience than I had and knew what they were doing in terms of standing up a company, and so relied on them very heavily and was really grateful to have, such great leaders to be able to leave a great company like Southern Company and go to this like great unknown of what was now going to be called Gas South, working as a subsidiary of an electric cooperative. So it was a lot all at once, and that's really how I got to where I am now. It was a much smaller company back then. If we were the size that we are today, there is no way anybody would have asked me to run Gas South. That would have been an absolutely insane thing to do. But we only had about 40 employees at the time. We were a Georgia-only business. We were mostly serving residential customers at the time. So, we've grown a lot since then to about 400 people today, which is a totally different level of, leadership and responsibility. And, I'm still learning and growing because, you don't necessarily you can't read a book on this stuff, right? You got to learn by doing. And that was kind of my experience, a little bit of trial by fire, being thrown into the big end of the pool and just trying to swim as best I could, make it work. So that's how I got to where I am now. Yeah.
How many employees
Now we're about 420, right, guys? And this is my Gas South team here, so I'll ask them some of the questions to keep me honest. But it's about 420, and we're actually serving customers today in 14 different states. And Georgia's still our biggest market, but Florida's a huge market for us. Ohio, Texas. We basically serve customers where they have a choice of a gas provider. So it makes it a little different. We're not a utility like the guys over at Greystone that do such a great job running the infrastructure and ensuring that the power is on. We rely on partners like Atlanta Gas Light and other local distribution companies to do that in the markets that we're in. So we're basically serving customers when they have a choice of a provider and are able to, in essence, make that decision. And we want to be, hopefully, the decision that they make in those markets.
So, my career in the electric program started about 39 years ago. So, 1984, I went to work for Amicalola EMC, which was the electric provider cooperative where I went to high school and college up in Dahlonega. And I was there a couple of years and then got, I guess, my first move into leadership, managing folks when I went to work for Jackson EMC. They'd called and offered me a job. I really wasn't looking. I turned them down a couple of times, but they were persistent that I come and interview with them, and so I did, and ultimately made that move. Spent 5 years there, but I went there as the manager of their accounting department. So that was my first venture into managing. It was a group of about 6 people, and I would say from a leadership style, yes, mine has changed over time. I really think leadership is very situational. What you're dealing with at that time kind of helps define your leadership style. So when I went there, I had 6 clerical employees. I was the only person with the accounting degree, so I couldn't really collaborate, delegate. It was more, I guess, transactional of here's our goals, here's our plan, here's our strategy, here's what I need you to do and you to do. And that was kind of how, that worked. And I was there for 5 years, and then Greystone called, and they were looking for a vice president level position, and so I interviewed with them. I'd been accepted into law school at Georgia State, and so I was trying to figure how I was going to get from Jefferson, Georgia to Atlanta every day. Every evening I was going at night to school. So really Greystone worked out well with that, and they had a need. And so, but going there, I headed up the financial services area, so I had a lot more responsibility. I had customer service, I had accounting, I had billing, and some of these areas. And so I couldn't, and the people there were well enough that I could evolve into delegating more. The scope was so big, I couldn't try to do all of it myself like I had, and so I was kind of forced into that situation of you delegate to folks. And and that was in the early days when I went to Greystone in '91, and so I became CEO in January of '99, and then took over the responsibility for the whole company. And I would say probably in the last 10 to 12 years, I've kind of evolved, again from a delegating kind of leadership style to one of more collaboration with folks. And and it kind of happens again with the situation you're in. We've put together, I think, a very strong management team. There were improvements that we needed to make along the way to get the team in the right place, and I think that's probably one of my bigger responsibilities is getting the right people in the right jobs. And we have gotten that, and so now there are people who know more than I do about a lot of the things going on. So we've moved into a collaborative thing where it's more let's talk about this as a group. Let's make these decisions, and listening and respecting everybody's opinion there. And so I really think I've seen my leadership style change, but it's been as the situation allows it and warrants it. Because I don't think there's one right leadership style. I think you have to deal with the situation that you have.
I think you're right too, and lessons learned over time. Generationally, delegating is a term of the past, and talking at people versus talking with them,
Right.
and listening to hear versus listening to respond is the new way that people interact, and that's the type of leaders that people aspire to be. So I think that it's great that you both have that mindset.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your organizations. You both lead very purpose-driven organizations. Kevin with the Fuel for Good, and Gary with Making Lives Better.
Making Life Better.
And I just looked at it. Making Lives Better. So can you talk to us about how you ensure that your team, your clients, your customers, and your brand continue to fulfill that purpose-driven? Like, how do you ensure that is ingrained in all that you do, whether it's internal, external, and even beyond that?
Yeah, want me to start that? Yeah, so our purpose is to be a fuel for good at Gas South, and the way that we bring that to life is we say it's about caring for our customers and our employees and elevating our industry and our communities. So you can tell it's a very multi-stakeholder approach. It's trying to find balance between, what we do for our customers, what we do for our employees, how we make our industry better, and what we give back. And we've always been a purpose-driven company, but we really articulated our purpose in about 2016. Camden was part of that when we did that at Gas South. And it was really important for us to be able to do that and then to really, be true to it. So how are we true to it? Well, we set ourselves a couple of goals. One was to be a best place to work. So we went on that journey of saying, hey, we want to be a company that is recognized for a place where we provide great opportunity, where people feel like they belong, where they're included in the things that we do, where we're part of a transparent organization that creates great opportunities for people. So that was one of our big objectives. On the customer side, we were looking to really grow our customer base. At the end of the day, if you're growing, especially in a competitive market like ours, it means that people are choosing you over other providers. So we set some pretty aggressive goals on that from an organic growth standpoint. So it wasn't just about, buying books of business to get there, but we really had to show that organically we could grow the customer base that we have. And we very much appreciate working with folks like Greystone to ensure that the Gas South brand is well recognized. And we try to pair up, honestly, with companies that have reputations that outdate ours, where they've been around for a lot longer than we were. And that was really important in the early days of Gas South back in the aughts, 2006, 2007, 2008, where we had no brand at all. So that's been very helpful. On the industry side, we really want to be the most respected natural gas voice in the room when it comes to working with the Public Service Commission, with industry associations, to really make our industry better. And we believe fiercely in the the importance of natural gas as a fuel. We also know that the industry has opportunities for ensuring that we're environmentally and socially responsible, and so we try to lead a lot of those efforts. And then lastly, on elevating our community, we made a goal of giving back 5% of our profits to children in need. That was something that I was very grateful that our management committee, which is our board of directors, got behind. And that's a pretty big pledge. And 5% of profits is a big number. You will see other companies that will make those sorts of pledges, but usually it's like 1%, 2%. We decide to go a little bit bigger, and that's not that's a good amount of money that we're investing back into the community each and every year, and our employees really have got behind that. And then lastly, we made a commitment to invest $50 million in community solar projects by the end of this year, and we are well on our way to finishing that out, and actually we'll probably hit $60 million by the end of this year. So I always find it's really important when it comes to purpose, like, you can say things, but what's more important is what you do, and that do-say ratio has to be really high, right? Because otherwise, you can talk about all the great things that you think you do in the community, but unless you've got some metrics and some real proof points behind it, it's all lip service. So that's been a really important aspect of what we've tried to do at Gas South as well. And lastly, from a community standpoint, we are owned by an EMC. We share a lot of principles. EMCs are very much focused on the long term. They're focused on, being a huge part of the community, on corporate citizenship. And so we really try to follow in the footsteps of our parent company, Cobb EMC. And with that, our profits that we send to our parent company, Cobb EMC, helps to keep their electric rates low and their service quality very high. And so we consider the members of Cobb EMC to absolutely be part of that community of ours, as well as the members of Greystone, because Greystone's a partner of ours. And we hope to do the same in that sense with Greystone. So those are some of the ways that we really have tried to be a purpose-driven organization and really make it tangible for people.
And I would agree. A lot of what Kevin said is, the same for us. I guess how we came up with making life better in the communities we serve. So we didn't try to make life better globally. We said, in the communities that we serve, how do we make life better? And it really came about as part of our strategic planning meeting at one time. We were looking at the old mission, vision, value statement, that everybody goes through. And we, our mission statement was to provide the most reliable service at the least, cost possible, and all this. And, and we just kind of said, number one, most people, I believe, don't read mission statements and vision statements and really care. Companies have one, and, there'll be people who, if any of our professors are here, anybody might take exception, but I'm not that big on a mission vision statement anymore. Our employees couldn't tell you exactly what it was. And so we said, let's step back instead of trying to fit all this together and just what is it we try to do? And the reality is we are focused on highly reliable electric service. We want to provide it at the least cost, and our rates have been among the lowest, in the state. But we want to do other things like, we're looking at broadband, some of these. So really what it encapsulates is how do we, can we just make life better for people? Lower rates, you have more disposable income for what you want to do. Reliable service, you come home, you want the house cool, you want to watch TV, the power is there, you can do it. And so we saw that, it really fit well with that. But it's even broader because we do a lot of work, like Kevin was saying, of supporting and giving back to the community. We, firmly believe that a healthy, vibrant community is good for our business as well. And I've used the analogy, some of you may have heard me say it before, I view it kind of like a farmer who is farming the land, and if he just plants crops over and over and never really fertilizes the soil, that crop production over time will go down lower and lower. But if he fertilizes it and tills the soil and puts back into the soil, the crops that he produces from that will just be more and more abundant. And so, I think that's the way it is in the community. I think corporations have a duty to give back to the communities, to be a vital part of the communities, help the communities grow, and not just be there taking, give me employees, give me this, but they don't provide back. And so we push that. We encourage our employees to volunteer. We provide 8 hours a day compensated. Every employee, if they'll volunteer at a 501c3, we want them out. We want them involved. We want, backing all of that up. And then, like I said, we try to, in particular, education is a big part of what we try to, really support, help the young kids. I think the value of a good education is, you can't overstate that. And so, that's a lot of what we do, but it comes under the, just making life better. How do we make this community better? We live here, we raise our kids, our family here, and we want the same thing everybody else does, for the community.
Absolutely. Great point on the mission, vision component. A lot of companies are doing more purpose-driven statements. And even just thinking through hearing you guys talk, we've done that with the chamber. We have our mission and our vision statement. But out the gate, what we always share with people are we're a place where partnerships and businesses thrive. At the end of the day, all that we do, all that our board leads us to do, that's what we want to do, is create that place where partnerships and businesses thrive. And accolades to both of you as having, investments with the chamber and partnerships. You guys are fully ingrained. I see on LinkedIn, Kevin, your team is out all over the place, giving back to the community. Gary, I live and breathe seeing your people at our events and programming and with everything in the community. So I think that it's great that you, and both of you do it as well. Like I saw you were volunteering at something a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's very important to have a practice what you preach mentality, because if you're encouraging your employees to give back and to be the fuel for good and to make lives better, that you're instilling that by doing it the same. So,
Right.
Great. Next question, or let's pivot slightly. Let's talk about your personal core values. Great leaders impart their core values into the organizations that they serve, but also maintain, and want to kind of have an inclusive environment and culture within your organizations. So can you guys talk a little bit about how you have imparted your core values, or what those core values might be, and how you've kind of embedded them into your organizations? You want to go first?
All right. Yes. So, when I think about the core values, for us, it's trust, building trust with the community, with our members, with our board, honesty, integrity, doing the right thing. Those are the core values that we want to operate, and the principles with Greystone, being good stewards of the environment. All of that are, core things that drive us. But the inclusivity is a big part too of getting our employees engaged in all of these things. So, it starts at the tone at the top of how you get that through the organization. You've got to practice it, you've got to live it, demonstrate it. Just like you said, we ask our employees to be involved. We're involved. We'll lead by example. We'll be there. I would say, one of the things that we've done is we have every bi-monthly what we call our senior leadership team meeting, and this is our managers and up in the company. So there's about 20 of us. We work on, once a year, develop our strategic plan, and then bi-monthly we meet to see where are we, hold each other accountable for that. And in those meetings, I've told them, nobody is your boss in this meeting. We are all equals. If you disagree with me, if you disagree with your boss, you have complete freedom to express your view. And I expect everybody in here to contribute to the conversation. It is not I will tell them it's not a spectator sport. I don't want you to come in and I'll take notes and I'll go back and tell somebody. I want you participating actively in the discussions, in the things that we're doing. And so pushing that down to them. And then the expectation is when they have their staff meetings in the company, it's the same kind of format, and it's pushing it down, and it's making sure everybody's voice is heard, everybody is participating in all of this, so that it builds. And we've seen a lot of positive results. It builds collaboration around things. It gets everybody more aligned into what we're doing and why we are doing it. But it's just that reinforcing in the company and building that culture of that's who we are and how we're going to operate.
100%. Great.
Yeah, gosh, a lot of, I think, value and culture similarities between ourselves and Greystone, actually. That's why we, I think, work so well together and have for, they've been a partner of ours. I mean, James and Nadia, Gary, we've been working together for 15 years now. So that's and I think it's actually an interesting question for us to answer right now because we're actually going through redefining some of our values. We've had a value statement around the Gas South way of putting people first, doing what's right, and striving to win. But we are now saying we're a different company today than we were a few years ago when we put those values in place. We did a very large acquisition of Infinite Energy, brought in, we've more than doubled the size of our team since those original Gas South way principles were put into practice. So now we're actually going through this and having some great discussions around it. So what do I see as some of our core values at Gas South? And these are things that have echoed out through the leadership team discussions that we've been having. Transparency is a big piece for us. One of the wonderful things about being a privately held company owned by a cooperative is that we can be very open and honest and direct with people. We don't have like outside shareholders where we're having to shield people from information because those shareholders have to find out about it before anybody else does. With us, we're able to, on a very real-time basis, at least monthly, talk about, hey, how are we doing from an earnings standpoint? How are we doing on a growth standpoint? What are some of our struggles and challenges? And not have to worry about, giving away, competitive secrets or having our shareholders feel like, well, wait, you can't be telling that to employees before you tell us. So that transparency for me is one of our core values at Gas South. Inclusion is another one. We definitely try to bring lots of voices in to talk about the business, talk about what we could do better as an organization. So we're very focused on that for sure, and ownership and autonomy being a big piece of that as well, which I think is a real trend for business in general. I feel like one of the things that the pandemic changed permanently is people do not want to be told what to do anymore. They don't want to be treated by their companies like children. And believe us, we hear that from people all the time. It's like, hey, I want you to trust me to make good decisions. And, you see that in how people are organizing their workplaces, how they're thinking about, hybrid work. A lot is changing. And I think those will be permanent changes, for our country and our world. So, going heavy on autonomy and ownership are really important for us as well. And then certainly, corporate citizenship. And, there's a lot of different words that are used these days. Unfortunately, a lot of them have gotten politicized when you talk about ESG or social responsibility. But I come back to the notion of corporate citizenship where, and there are plenty of companies like Georgia Power that's, kind of led the way in talking about we're a citizen wherever we serve. And that's really about citizenship. And at Gas South, we very much emulate that. We're never going to do it quite to the extent that somebody like a Georgia Power, or even probably a Greystone does it because they've been at it for a lot longer than we have and they've got those local roots. But those are the sorts of things that we try to emulate at Gas South and try to be what these guys are in the electric business. We want to do that in the gas industry. And so those are some of the core values that I think we will form as we come through this process right now at Gas South.
Being very transparent with everybody.
Yes.
Sure, your team all knows that as well. So, and I think that's a very valid point you both bring that up, especially with the way that talent development and the workforce situations that we're all facing right now, and people changing jobs so frequently, upskilling. It's important to be relevant and to maintain that relevancy with your staff, with your teams, and market and promote that out because that is culture is what drives people to be part of something. So by establishing that internal culture is what will keep your employees there, but it'll also want others to come and join it. And so I think that's great that you both have that vibe going for you.
And I think Gary's right too on collaboration. Collaboration has become so much more important, and I think we've kind of gone from a situation where leaders told people what to do to the next phase was, well, okay, I'm going to delegate, but and now it's really more about collaborate and figuring out, hey, how do I get lots of voices in the room to make the best possible decision? And I think collaboration, I think for all good companies is really, really important now. The old way of doing things won't work anymore.
Absolutely.
Right.
So speaking of the old way, let's talk about some of the new innovative things that you guys have had going on with your organizations. Both of you have had some significant strides over the past couple of years, some very, very recently. So you guys don't mind talking about some innovative projects and initiatives that your organizations have been working through over the past couple years, and be truthful with, you know, some of the good, the bad, and the ugly of what you've experienced through that. So, would you like to go first?
I will.
A little one.
I want to save the bigger one for last. I'll touch on a few small ones first, but you know, the electric industry is really changing. You know, as you know, climate legislation, climate policies, concerns, all of that is driven to renewables and energy storage and battery storage and all of this new technology that is coming. You know, a lot of people may not know, but we own 60 megawatts of solar now in the state of Georgia. And, you know, we're continuing to look to add more. We're seeing large customer prospects, and Trevor, you see the same thing probably, you know, are saying we want green, we want clean energy. And so I think that's only going to continue to grow. So we're doing a lot of time looking at that. How does batteries interface into this? But, you know, it's a changing industry, and it is one that if you're not innovating and you're not moving with it, then it's going to be a hard landing at some point. Probably the biggest, you know, innovation for us and thing we're doing differently is getting into broadband, and that project is underway. We'll probably start hanging fiber, and I don't want to put Nadia's here somewhere, maybe by July at some point. We hope to be connecting our first customers by early next year. But, you know, for us, for broadband, you know, the legislature allowed electric co-ops to get into the broadband business. We spent a lot of time, you know, in due diligence. I think we used 3 different consulting models to really validate this before we decided we're going to do it, because it's a little bit different business than what we've done, and it requires a lot of capital outlay, and we wanted to feel very comfortable. There are a lot we don't know about it, and so we relied on consultants, and like I say, 3 models have coming together of what is this going to cost us, what kind of return, you know, where should we go with this, you know, and then we had to convince our board to do that. And I will tell you, you know, that wasn't as easy as you would, you know, would think that it would be. I mean, they take their role very seriously. They were trying to understand, why are we doing this? Is there a need here to do this? But I'll tell you, believe it or not, as close as we are to Atlanta, we have areas, South Fulton, South Douglas, the western part up through at the Carroll County Douglas line, western Paulding. Some places have no internet available, and others are, you know, very underserved in the capabilities that we have. So it exists here. There are pockets in our service area. Well, I got fiber in my subdivision, and then so we have the have and have-nots in our service area, and we decided that we are going to, as part of our making life better in the communities we serve, we're going to go where they're underserved and unserved, and we're going to bring broadband to those areas. And I've told, you know, our employees, I said, you know, how many times in life do you really get the opportunity to do something that really changes people's lives? You know, we all do things that might be something for, you know, a person or 2 people, but that you can look back and say, we changed that whole community. We changed this area because we allow people now to work from home who couldn't. We allow people to educate their kids from home, telemedicine, remote medicine, all of this, you know, capabilities that can be in some of these places. You know, I had a person tell me one time lived in South Fulton area, that they had no service. The cell service was terrible, no broadband. Her husband had a heart attack. She had to drive to the top of a hill to get a signal to even call 911 to come out. And a gentleman who was telling me this said, you know, for y'all, this is just a business decision. But for us, it's a life and death situation. And so that really resonated with me, of the power of the change that we can do, the innovation. And so, you know, I'm glad to see that we are doing it, that we're pushing forward. I think it'll be a sustainable business model. I think it has great potential. But more than anything, it's getting back to the basic of making life better. It's consistent with what we've said that we want to do. And so I'm really excited about that.
And I know the people that are in those communities are very excited as well. We've heard from some
Yes, well, I know at the city council meeting at Chattahoochee Hills, one of the council members, I think, broke down in tears and started crying when we said that we were coming down there. So, yeah, it makes a huge difference for people.
Good feeling, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Kevin?
That's a tough act to follow. I don't have anything quite that noble.
I love it.
No, but we entered the pandemic a very different company than we exited it from. We did we actually did two pretty large acquisitions in 2020 and then again in early 2021 that really transformed our business, increased our sales volumes, basically it quadrupled them, and increased our team by almost double. So. And it was we did an acquisition of Infinite Energy, and it was all done over Microsoft Teams. I didn't actually meet their team until they were part of Gas South for like 6 months. So it was a very odd kind of surreal situation, but it was given the circumstances of what was happening back then in 2020 and 2021, it just was what it was, and it just took a lot of work to make that happen. So innovation for us has been really trying to scale up our systems and our processes to ensure that we can manage this much larger business, utilizing largely, at least originally, the infrastructure that we already had. So obviously we need to build that out. We did a major system implementation of a new billing and customer care system. We've got a couple of very large software development efforts that'll we'll be undertaking this year and next. We have major investments to anybody use customer relationship management system, CRM, Salesforce, we're going through that, really completely transforming that as well. Sometimes I feel like we're more a technology company than we are an energy company because, we're developing our own software, but we're also configuring, base software of other companies to be able to serve our customers better. Those are both external customers, but also internal customers to make people's lives easier at Gas South and to do things more efficiently and better, which ultimately accrues, to the benefit of our employees and our customers. So we have a lot going on in that respect. Other aspects of innovation that I think would be more customer-facing, we put a lot of work into really changing the way that people think about natural gas, and we changed the way that people buy it through a program that we called, or a rate plan that we call One Price Plan, where instead of charging customers a per therm rate for their gas with AGL pass-through charges and customer service fees and all that complexity, we take all that and just have one flat price that you pay each and every month for the gas. And it kind of converts what has been a very complex sort of billing methodology to something that looks a lot more like internet or television service or home security, where how much that amount is going to be, each and every month. And so that's been something that's been very successful and really well received by a lot of our customers, really changing the way and simplifying their lives. We always talk at Gas South about when we think about our mission, it's basically to make natural gas affordable and simple for all, because we want to be inclusive, but we also want to, take what it can be a very complex decision for a lot of people and something that they're not accustomed to doing, and just like boiling it down to, hey, what are the basics here? And One Price Plan is certainly helping us to do that. Lastly, on the sustainability front, we rolled, in addition to the solar commitment that we made, we offer our larger customers a product that we call Flex RNG, and RNG stands for renewable natural gas. So it's a customized blend of renewable natural gas, which is that methane that comes from landfills and dairy farms, poultry farms, places where it can be captured and mixed into the natural gas infrastructure, into the pipes with conventional natural gas. So we offer that combined with verified carbon offsets to help our customers meet their sustainability goals. And that's been something that we rolled out that's really kind of new in our industry, and something that's been really well received too. So those are a few examples of how we've tried to innovate, and but it's been an interesting ride for us over the last few years. And I agree with Gary, it's only going to continue because customers have an increasing expectation of their energy providers. So we're trying to do some things too behind the scenes in terms of how do we buy natural gas that is produced using the best possible production techniques. It's called responsibly sourced gas, because, methane leaks, or sometimes called fugitive methane emissions, is the enemy of climate, basically. And, our industry needs to do a more consistent, better job of ensuring that all the natural gas that's being produced actually goes into the system and is then used beneficially, as opposed to seeping into the atmosphere and creating a, very acute, shorter term, but very acute for that period, global warming effect. And so we want to ensure that, we're using our purchasing power as a gas provider to ensure that the folks that are upstream from us producing the gas, transporting it to the markets that we serve, that they're using the best possible techniques to ensure that the gas does not seep out, and therefore, that methane getting into the atmosphere and creating the global warming effect that we all want to avoid.
Well, I will say personally, my mom loves the one payment plan option, and for my mental sanity, I also appreciate
Yes.
that. She's
Yeah.
a proud gas customer, and it's been very helpful. So from a customer standpoint, I appreciate that. And I think that you guys both, are willing to take risks and in leading in that way, and having the support from your board leadership and your team is what makes you guys successful leaders, because it's not an easy space to enter into, and industry leaders, it's not an easy space to enter into, putting yourselves out there, trying broadband or trying new things, but by having that support behind you, it makes it very reassuring to do that. So I applaud you both for that. Lastly, as we wrap up, if you guys have one key takeaway or words of advice for our audience today, in how you lead and how you manage your organizations, whatever that may be, what would one thing that you would like to leave our audience with today be? You want to go first, Kevin?
Sure. I would say, one of the things that I've tried to do as a leader and get better at is just listening better, understanding the things that people are concerned about and engaging in those conversations. These guys know I'm a very, relationship-based person. I certainly try to get to know everybody at the company, but then also really actively trying to hear what they have to say is important. And, making that extra time to really connect with people on a personal level, but also really solicit their ideas and show that you care and that you're thinking about different ways to really help the organization and them as individuals to continue to develop and get better is something that I'm very focused on. For those of you that are younger in the audience, and I know there are some of you all out there too, in this new world, and my son is here actually too, so this is for him today, is that, in this new hybrid world, you have such an opportunity to lean into actually going into the office and getting to know people. I'm amazed at how many Gen Zers and millennials have kind of opted out a little bit of actually making personal connections. And so those of you that are so inclined, your peers have sort of ceded that space to you a little bit. And it's like, this is a golden opportunity for you to actually get access to leaders in your respective organizations at a level that's unprecedented, really. And so use that opportunity, because it won't always be here, I feel like, and this is a great opportunity to do it. Somebody put it well recently. They said, it's very easy to have a job fully remote, but it's really hard to have a good career. And I think that's largely true. And so the notion of, I love hybrid, but, make sure it's hybrid and it's not just, hey, I'm just going to work from home every day, because people are going to lose track of you. You're going to lose opportunities to learn things from people. You're going to lose opportunities to really make personal connections. So my view would be, make sure that hybrid really is hybrid for you, because otherwise, you're losing out on kind of a golden opportunity right now.
So let me first say everything Kevin said. I'm just going to add a couple things to it, but I agree with everything he said. First to me, it's love what you're doing, love your job. Find your passion, what you really want to do, because I think that is key to my internal motivation of what I do. I love getting up. I love going to work because I love what I do. As I've told employees, some before, look, life's too short. If you're not happy here, if this is not what you want to do, you do us both a favor. If you find what makes you happy and what you want to do, you're better off. Let me fill the job with somebody who wants that this is their passion, what they want to do, will be better off. It's a win-win situation. So find your passion, do what it is that you want to do. And then secondly, I would say, to me, it's trust your employees. I can't tell you, we could not do broadband if it wasn't for the quality of our employees and the leadership team, that I have, because I can delegate to them, I can trust them. We're picking up a lot of work. We're not going out and hiring a bunch of people, starting this. We're adding to everybody's day-to-day responsibility. But we've got, a very strong team, a very committed team, which makes my job much easier, as well. But so invest in your employees, develop them, and trust them to make the decisions. Let them make decisions. I think you'll be very surprised at how well they do.
Okay. Well, thank you both for joining me today. They'll be sticking around for a few minutes for questions. But as a thank you for you guys taking time out of your schedules today, we are making a contribution in your name to our Chamber Board scholarships.
Thank you.
Very good.
Award right now. So,
Very
thank
good.
you
You guys.
for coming out today.
Thank you.
Giving them a round of applause.
Thank you.
Guys.
And I've already alluded to what we're doing next. So I'm excited to recognize several individuals today. Our Douglas County Young Professionals Program selects honorees for our continuing education scholarships, which are for young professionals seeking to further their education in a space, as well as our Chamber Foundation Leadership Scholarships, which are for high school seniors that have demonstrated leadership and drive within their respective high school careers. So I'm excited to announce the scholarship recipients today. We have several of them that are here. We have a few. I have a graduating senior, and I don't know if y'all know this. If you haven't had one, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. So some of them were able to join us today, but for those that are here, we would like to take a moment and recognize them. Our chamber board also, as I just mentioned, gives a board scholarship, and we'll be recognizing that individual today as well. So we had several individuals that applied for these scholarships, and we were excited to announce with our chamber board scholarship, that is going to go to a young woman who is not here today. Her name is Omalara Babalola from Douglas County High School, and she'll be going to Georgia Tech. So we would just like to celebrate her and recognize her. And then for our Chamber Leadership Scholarship, we have the recipient of $500 is Cameron Zaki Rochelle from New Manchester High School. She will be, she'll be attending North Carolina A&T State University, where she's going to major in marketing. Are you here? Yes. Oh, come here. I've got money for you, girl. And we're going to do photos afterwards. Yes, I've got your check. It's an exciting day. All right, our $1,000 recipient is also unfortunately able to be here with us today. Her name is Jordan Arfanakis. So if you guys know Katie and Dimitri Arfanakis, Jordan is their child, and she is from Chapel Hill High School, and she'll be also attending Georgia Tech and plans to major in psychology and neuroscience. So we'll all be seeing much from Jordan here in the future. All right, I'd also like to take a minute and recognize our Douglas County Young Professional Continuing Education Scholarship recipients. And these are for chamber member young professionals that are looking to seek and continue their education in some capacity. So we have several of them that are here today. We have Shara Thrasher from the City of Douglasville Parks and Rec. Are you here? Yes, come on. We also have Keandre Dunham from the Brookman Group. My son does parks and he does camps with Shara, so I was like, he'll see you this summer. And we also have Christian Bayless with the PAC group. Congrats to all of our recipients, and if you guys will stick around, we're going to do a great photo up by the stage immediately following. And at this time, I'd like to invite Nadia back up to close us out.
Sarah, would you mind if I said something that has to do with Greystone?
Sure.
My name is Kim Alvarez. This is the first time I've been at a chamber meeting, but I was a recipient of one of Greystone's roundup. I started a nonprofit. I'm a retired teacher from Douglas County, and I wrote a book, and the name of it is The Sky's the Limit, dedicated to my dad who helped build the Blue Module. And I had been going around the southeast presenting at schools, and then COVID hit. And during the COVID time, I turned my book into a nonprofit. And Operation Roundup at Greystone was, my first grant. And I just want to tell you that I really opened my eyes to what Operation Roundup does. I really didn't know. And so if you get a chance to do that, if you're in the Greystone area, please do that, because so many nonprofits benefit from that. But I want to tell you that one of the reasons I want to say it is I want to thank Mr. Miller, because the kids that I went to Arbor Station Elementary, and I was able to, between a couple of the different schools, gift over 300 books and present them for an hour to them. And they wrote Mr. Miller thank you notes. And I read the thank you notes, and they were so cute. Some of them were like, when I grow up, I want to be like you, and I want to help people, and things like that. So I just think that it's amazing what y'all do. And I'm a grandparent, and I'm concerned about the environment. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That was very, very good. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Congratulations to our 2023 scholarship recipients. We look forward to remarkable things from you in our community. And I do have a few announcements, and we have door prizes, so hang tight before we wrap up. Please join us for our Women in Business Breakfast on May the 23rd at 7:45 a.m. at our new breakfast event location, Courtyard by Marriott Lithia Springs. This event will feature guest speaker Amy Ard, Executive Director of Motherhood Beyond Bars, who shares her journey and how she chose a path less traveled to affect change and offer insights on how others can do the same. So lastly, I want to thank Wellstar. No, he had to run, but I want to thank Wellstar for your sponsorships. Certainly thank Gas South for your sponsorship. Gary, Kevin, thank you so much for those great words of inspiration. And if Heath is around, we would like him or maybe someone from Wellstar to come up. We would like your help in getting the door prizes going. Anybody, can we get a volunteer? All right, so you were given a ticket when you walked in. Pull those out to see if you are the lucky the lucky winner today. I think we have 4 door prizes. 4 door prizes today. All right, last 4, 3798. 3798. All right, Lori, come on up. Now, what we started last year was if you do win your free prize, you are to show some excitement. So we want to hear it, okay? There we go, Lori. All right, last 4 digits again, 3803. 3803. A silent winner in the back, but I see you. Thank you. Come on up. There you go. Awesome. All right, next is 3807. Woo! Mr. Wright, come on up. And last but not least, 3707. 3707, awesome. Our scholarship winner. Congratulations to all of our winners. You guys have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.